Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jettcast. My name is Jeff. My initials are Jet, and this is basically my outlet to discuss things that happened in the previous month and give my takes with regards to those things. And those things or takes may lead to something, and may lead to future videos or the like. I'm thankful to have you all here joining me, and we'll just sit back and enjoy for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes. I don't want to keep these podcasts pretty long. I'm surprised out there when I hear people do like these hour long, 2 hour long, 3 hour long podcasts. I'm like, how could you first off talk for that much, but also have that opportunity, have something to say or like one specific topic to discuss for over 2 hours? There was a time where about a few years ago, I'm trying to think if it was, I don't know if it was a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie, but I came across a channel who they just talked about the recent Marvel movie. I think it was either the first Avengers, the second Avengers movie, or one of the ones in between. And they had a 2 hour, 2.5 hour long podcast, or like just them talking about it. And that was nuts to me. Like I can probably expound my thoughts on each Marvel movie maybe in the span of 5-10 minutes, and then I just move on. But the fact that you can spend 2.5 hours, mostly I think disliking it or pointing out every little flaw, but also I think taking a lot of like pauses to kind of take thoughts. And to an extent, this will happen here. I'm not going to be able to uh, fill every pocket here. I do have like a notepad below me to kind of help me to make sure I don't lose track of where I am. And of course, as this thing progresses, I'll get better at this. I mean, I'm essentially in my room on a chair talking in a microphone, and I'm expecting to have someone across from me just hearing everything. Like I'm not getting feedback to talk about this. So, yeah, as things go along, feel free to comment down below and let me know how this can be improved in the future. I know I've talked to some people about having guests on the show, and I think for the first month or two, this is going to be a monthly podcast if I didn't specify this. For the first month or two, I probably want to just iron out the kinks, get used to my surroundings, make sure that I don't want to just make this like a back and forth with somebody, because I think that something like that can be exclusionatory to somebody. Like if I'm definitely talking with a friend, absolutely, it's fine like that. And who knows, maybe an extra friend on this podcast can help smooth over some rough times. But I want this to be an open forum. I want this to not be exclusive to two people talking. I want the whole room to talk, if that makes sense. So I'm definitely open to it. I just want to see how this goes for the first month or two, and then we can look into it. All right. So I had every podcast, I want to have a couple topics to discuss. Most notably will probably be the topic where I made my video on, and I'll usually save that for the last to just comment on like comments I saw, feedback regarding it, have things have changed, what events happened. So this month we'll be talking about the Game Awards, and that'll be pushed towards the end. But for this first one, I think I want to just touch on it's Christmas time. Like we just had Christmas a few days ago, and hopefully, or whatever holiday you all celebrate, or hopefully you had a day off with everything happening. I hope you all didn't have to work Christmas. When I was a couple days ago, when it was Christmas time, my family and I drove through the area and we found a Walgreens was still open, and that made me like a little bit, not upset but concerned. Just like, it stinks. Like you have to work on Christmas Day. I mean, I guess when all's said and done, it's pretty. You don't have to work a lot. You don't have to worry about too many customers. Hopefully, like it's probably pretty chill. But still, I would much rather be home probably that time, just relaxing. Like, even if I didn't celebrate Christmas, I think I'd rather have that time just to relax as opposed to just be alert and have to deal with customers. Like that was just kind of that's rough. But yeah, my Christmas was pretty fun. Starting with Tuesday, Christmas Eve, I had to work at my job. I got off around I think 3 o'clock. My mom and dad came to visit. I have mom, a dad, and two brothers. Both my brothers are older than me. I'm in my late 20s. Both my brothers are older than me, and they are married. One has a son who is my godson. I'm a Roman Catholic, and the family with the son, my second brother, they went to their in-laws in St. Louis, Missouri for Christmas, and my oldest brother went to Austin, Texas for Christmas with his in-laws. So my mom and dad were kind of by themselves, and they proposed the idea, hey, why don't we come up to your neck of the woods and we'll celebrate Christmas with you? And I thought that was a nice idea. I thought it was definitely a change of pace. I had Thanksgiving here, my neck of the woods, a couple years ago, and that went pretty well. We essentially did the same thing here. We didn't really cook anything big. There's Whole Foods does a really good deal where you can spend about $80 and you can get like turkey and green beans and mashed potatoes and stuffing and dessert, pretty much all made for you. The only thing you got to do is obviously heat up the vegetables and put the turkey in the oven for, I would say, less than an hour, and you're pretty much done. And that's essentially what we did. We had a nice turkey dinner, all that fun stuff. That was on Christmas Day. Christmas Eve, sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Christmas Eve, I got off work, went to go see them. They picked up the meal, which was nice. And then we went out to dinner. We just had we tried looking around. A lot of places were closed for Christmas Eve, makes sense, or their hours were going to be less. And I threw out, hey, why don't we go to like Outback Steakhouse just for a nice little Christmas Eve dinner? And they were down for that. We went early. I actually thought about going later, but we decided to go early to beat the rush. We did beat the rush. Like we got there, we only had to wait about 5-10 minutes before we got seated. And I think halfway through our meal, I think there was like a line out the door, and I think they were waiting on like at least 10 tables. So we hit it right on the head. We got there early because we wanted to make a Christmas mass, and we got out a little late. I think it was like 7:22. We got out, and I ended up church is close to my house, about 8 minutes. So we decided to essentially, quote unquote, take a tour to presumably get back to my house. And then we got to church. I showed them the church because we'd been a couple times, but it'd been a while. And we decided then and there, hey, get out the car, let's do this. The parking was terrible for my dad, sadly, but he found a spot and we got in there, and we only missed, I think, the first couple songs, but then we had a good service, got our stuff out the way, which was good because the other service was either at midnight, which was a heck no. My parents are relatively older, and even I wouldn't want to be up at midnight to do Christmas Mass. But the other one was going to be 9 a.m. on Christmas morning. And I think that would have been a little bit tough, just to kind of mishmash all that together. So we were fortunate. We decided, we're 5 minutes late. Let's enjoy ourselves. We'll take it in stride. I'm going to take a little drink. So yeah, Christmas Eve, done. Had dinner, had mass, said goodbye to the folks, and went to bed. Got up, went to their hotel to have breakfast. Breakfast was very good. Had like an open omelet bar and a lot of just fixins. I think had some French toast, bacon, eggs, all the good stuff. And then I threw out there, why don't we go see a movie? And there's only a few movies out. So we decided, let's go see the new Star Wars film. And they were down for it. And it was, I'll go about Star Wars in a second. But we booked that. We talked about how the reason why we had to go to Walgreens was because I needed some more Tupperware, because after dinner, they left me with a ton of leftovers that I'm still plowing through. That's going to probably by New Year's I'll still have something left over. But yeah, and we did that. We exchanged gifts. They were nice enough to buy and ship me a tiny Christmas tree where if you plug in, I think there's like a little pocket where you can put three batteries in and press a button, and there's like lights around it and it'll light up. And it has a timer. It has like a 6-hour timer on there. You press the button once and it'll track the time that you pressed it. So like for example, I press it at 5 o'clock, it'll light up. Then by I think 11 o'clock p.m. it'll shut off, and then it won't turn on again until 5 p.m. the next day. Like it has a 6-hour on timer and then an 18-hour off timer, and that's really cool. I love technology like that. I love that there are ways that you can just, hey, we want this. We want to make it a little more convenient. You go to someone's house and you see all their lights on either displayed, or you see them. You go inside, you see their Christmas tree all lit up. Someone has to do that. Someone has to turn on the light switch, or connect it to the sockets to make it work. But some nights you can be tired. It can be 6 p.m. You turn on the lights, like, oh great, it's nice. But then it's like you're 10 o'clock. You're like, oh shoot, I forgot to have to go turn out the lights. I want to save electricity. This right here, just plug in, set it, you're good. And that's really cool about that. I'm probably gonna shelf. I'm gonna keep that tree. I'll probably shelf it when it's probably January 2nd. Just the holidays are coming up to the end, so I want to do that. Uh, so yeah, my family and I went to go see The Rise of Skywalker. Probably the best choice out of all the films that are um, on display right now. There was the abomination that was Cats. There was the what I'm hearing good things about this animated film Spies in Disguise, and I don't know. Maybe I'll go see it. I don't know. I think I'm starting to get a little tired of Will Smith being in everything. I went to go see Aladdin a few months ago, and it's good. I enjoyed Aladdin. Like, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the Disney live action remakes. I can think they're pretty lazy. They're pretty, it's easy money for them. You're craving on people's nostalgia. You have someone who is like 10 years old who went to go see The Lion King in 1994. 25 years later, that same 10-year-old kid is 35, probably has like a 4-year-old daughter, and you need to entertain them for 3 hours on a random day. And you're like, oh, I saw The Lion King when I was a kid. Why don't I just go take my child to go see it, burn 3 hours of my life? They're easy peasy, and now Disney gets $1 billion for pretty much every film. I mean, I can't fault Disney for that. It's smart. Like you find something that works, and you're like, why don't we just do this for a lot of films? And we can probably tweak a few things here and there and make it work. Aladdin was a little bit more ambitious, in my opinion. Like, I think it's the only one I've fully seen. There's other films I've seen bits and pieces of, and I think they're just going through the motions. And it's like, I'd rather just pop on Disney Plus and just watch Beauty and the Beast, or watch The Jungle Book, or watch uh, The Lion King myself, the animated films. But I digress. Like I said, but I've Will Smith has been like an entity in my life for over 20 years. Like, I didn't watch The Fresh Prince of Bel Air when it was on TV, because I don't think I was born when it came out, and then it ended when I was 4 years old, and then it would be on reruns, and I would see a few episodes here and there. But then he would be in Men in Black, and then he would be in, what's the other stuff? He'd be voicing he was voicing in Shark Tale. He would be in Hitch. He would be a constant Hollywood presence, and just kind of like, all right, you're in Suicide Squad, and you're 50 years old. It's like, man, you're just clinging on. Like, good for you. But I think I just had my fill of animated stuff for this year. Like, I might go see Spies in Disguise maybe in January, because there's nothing coming out in January pretty much. We went to go see Rise of Skywalker, and we saw a lot of previews for films coming out that most of them I'm not interested in. James Bond looked pretty interesting, but I've only seen one Daniel Craig James Bond film, and that was Casino Royale. Probably should see Skyfall someday, but I don't know. Like this, I think this is Daniel Craig's last ride. He's been a solid James Bond, and maybe I'll go see that. A couple other films. I think that Christopher Nolan film had a preview, and I was just kind of confused but intrigued by it. Christopher Nolan's a pretty good director. I saw the Dark Knight trilogy, Memento, Inception, all that stuff. I might pop $12 to go see that. Other than that, I think a lot of stuff. I'm not interested in like the Bad Boys film. I think was on display. There's that Free Guy film with Ryan Reynolds, and I just that did not. I think I saw the trailer beforehand. I think on YouTube, and I know I think just doesn't appeal to me. But that's okay. So it'll appeal to some people. Ryan Reynolds is doing very well, and he's doing very well as himself. He's himself. He has a great way of just portraying his likeness onto characters, whether it be Deadpool or Detective Pikachu or now this guy. Like he has that kind of. It's basically him. Like he's not playing a character. He's playing himself in pretty much every bit he's in. And hey, good for him. Keep it going. So yeah. So now let's talk about the Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to be very brief on this because this was something I thought about, and I thought, you know what? This sounds like something that I want to save for another podcast. This is for a couple reasons. One, I want the wave to start to simmer down. Like I think one of the big flaws of something like this, especially in the age we live in with YouTube and social media and how everyone needs to get their opinion out of the way in the open, is kind of tough. Is kind of not how I like it. I would rather people give a little bit of a break to let it digest, to let it marinate, to see maybe if I'm not saying I might go see the film again. Like I'm not saying go see the film a second time. Like if you didn't like the film, like I'm not going to disprove or say you're wrong. If you like the film, I'm not going to say you're wrong or anything like that. But I'm thinking that someone can be very quick, have a trigger finger to say, I don't like this, bye-bye. One of the first things I saw when I left the theater, I overheard people, I was going to the restroom, and I heard someone say, well, it wasn't horrible. And I really dislike that attitude. And I feel like that is the trend these days. It's to be overly critical. You can't just appreciate something, or you can't just take your mind away. You always have to be ready to like analyze and point out a scene doesn't gel with you, and therefore the film's ruined. Or a character appears or something happens that you do love and that overshadows everything. Like I don't like that approach. So I want to let this film marinate, let my thoughts think about it. I want to talk to other people. I want to see how other people fared it. I've only seen a couple reviews on it, mostly positive. Like I've read a couple Rotten Tomatoes stuff. The critics, the thing I section them out because this is their job. Like their job is to go see films and give their take. I'm talking about like people who just are going to see a film. Maybe they've started to become like an online reviewer or whatever, and they have to get their films out because this is current now. This is within 3 days. By Christmas, it's going to be no one's going to care about Star Wars anymore, or something like that. Or no, someone's not going to care about this film. So I have to give my take out there. That I don't want to do that. I want, especially and this is the other reason. This film is a week old by the time I'm recording this podcast. It's a week old, and I actually want to dig into more about this. I want this to be a spoiler-filled review, or not review, but just take on it. I want to talk about everything I saw. I want to like maybe ask questions out in the ether, and hopefully my nerdy best friends who love Star Wars can like say, well, Jeff, this is how you identify what this character did, and this is why Star Wars is terrible, or this is why Star Wars is great. Now praise me. No. I don't. I want this to stew. I want to let it out there, and then by the next time I do this podcast, it'll probably be like January 27th or 28th, and it'll been a month, and that will give people enough time to say, all right, here you go. Like, you've had enough time. You've had 30 days. Now I'm going to talk about the film. So instead, I wrote down 5 completely unspoilery sentences to describe how I felt about The Rise of Skywalker. All right? Do not worry. These are very broad. They will not affect what you're going to see this. It might affect how you see this film, maybe not. Here you go. 5 sentences, non-spoiler take. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is a good film. The character interaction is very well done. The lightsaber battles are a ton of fun. There are a lot of flashing lights in a few scenes, so if you're going, I would beware of some scenes and probably look away. Overall, I had a really good time, and so did my family. I would rate the sequel trilogy as the best. I would rate the prequel. I would rate these 3 films as the middle, and I would rate the prequels as the worst in terms of all Star Wars. And that's it. I'm going to stop besides what I'm about to say with my parents. That's all the Star Wars talk you're going to get. I look forward to talking with you more next month. So go see the film. Don't go see the film. Enjoy yourself. But yeah, we went to go see Rise of Skywalker, and my family and my parents and I left the theater. Mom and dad had good things to say as well. My dad had not seen a Star Wars film, I think, since the 80s. And he enjoyed it. He said that a couple stuff made his head scratch, but I think that's a given. And speaking about the flashing lights, my mom said she got a little bit of a headache from it, and I could bounce off that point that I started to get a little kind of annoyed by the flashing lights. But other than that, good time. It was a great way to kill a few hours, and I was happy we did it. We went to Walgreens to go pick up Tupperware, all that good stuff. Had a great dinner. Just enjoyed each other's company. We hopped onto Disney Plus and we watched the original Santa Claus with Tim Allen all the way back from 1994, and we had a nice time. Just going through the rest of the day, and then said goodbye to them around I think 8:30. And then I just pretty much went to bed because I had to go to work the next day. I'm going to drink for a sec. I had to go to work the next day, which stinks. Having Christmas on a Wednesday is probably the worst scenario for anybody, because if it falls on a weekend, hopefully your business or your school, wherever you are, says, okay, Monday you get that extra holiday sometime later. Like maybe if you have it on Saturday, maybe you have the Friday off. If you have the Sunday, maybe you have the Monday off to recuperate that. If it's a Thursday or a Tuesday, you most likely have the Monday or Friday respectively off. Wednesday, you're just kind of work, nice work. And it's a little annoying, but most of my work was pretty tame. I mean, we're going through not a tough time, but we're having a lot of work happening right now. So it's definitely not the most chillest of times, but I'll survive. I'll survive. I'll have a big vacation coming up very soon, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about, speaking of Christmas, was my little Christmas giveaway I did. If you follow me on Twitter, you really should, at Jeffrey Engineer. I had a little giveaway for people. I was like, it's the holiday season. Let's give away some $20 eShop cards. It didn't bug me all the least. I've got a good. I'll be financially fine. Don't worry. But one of the things I wanted to do to diversify was I want to make sure that I didn't lose people in the shuffle. So I always have like little extra condition. So people who are paying attention will actually follow it. So I said, retweet this and then reply with a memorable Christmas story or Christmas event you have. And I was, or I'm sorry, no, not Christmas. It was like a gift you received or gave. Because I'm someone who really likes to give gifts. As someone who's 28 years old, getting up there. I think when you reach 22 or when you reach 23, you start to realize you have a lot, or you have what you need. So you maybe have this like stigma of like, do I really need to ask my parents or my brothers or my sisters for this? Do I really need to ask them for like a PlayStation 4? Do I really need to ask them for a pair of jeans? Do I need to ask them for new silverware? Or is that everything that I could buy myself? I just need to save my money and just do all that. I feel like I almost feel like a little guilty asking my folks for things. So I'm usually someone's like, you know what, I have money. I want to give something. I want to be that nice guy. The amount of times I have hesitated to getting like these big extravagant gifts for my folks and brothers, I could count on two hands. Like I think this is like the last couple years where I've thought, maybe I should just buy like a cruise vacation for my parents. Like they're almost retired, and that would be a nice little gift. Like don't worry, they're not gonna hear this podcast, so I'm not giving away ideas. But I've always just kind of been that kind of person, just to like give gifts. So I mentioned in the poll that I want to talk about the best gift that I ever gave. I can't really think of one that I received. The biggest thing that comes to mind is, I think it was either my senior year of high school or my freshman year of college. My godparents, they gave me a really nice laptop bag. Like it's very, very, very organized. Has like a few zippers for locations of stuff, and that is what I primarily use for hosting trivia. Trivia is another thing I want to talk about in another podcast, but I work a 9 to 5 job for a living, but I also do a trivia hosting gig on the side. I do 2 nights a week. I just go to a regularly scheduled bar, and I announce questions and answers. I play music and I give away prizes, and it's wonderful. And I'll go into more detail about that fun lifestyle I have on other podcasts. But that has been something I've just had for probably at least 7 8 years, and it's always stuck with me. Like a lot of gifts, usually some of them fall by the wayside. Like I have a 4K television. I bought that. I have a PC tower. I bought that. I have a mechanical keyboard. I bought that. I have a PlayStation 3, a Wii U, an Xbox 360. The two of those I bought. The Xbox 360 I got from a friend who was deciding I don't need this anymore, and then I think like 6 months later he was like, "Can I have it back?" Because the Xbox 360 is a nice console, and I still have it. I don't know if it works anymore, but I haven't really tested it. I haven't played an Xbox game in at least a few years. But like I said, not a lot of gifts stick out. One gift that I gave that I'll never forget, that I love to this day, that I'm so happy that turned out so well. So if you follow me on Twitter, one of the things in my uh, bio is I'm a sports fan. I've loved sports all my life. I've had little trepidations like in the last few years. I don't think I've fallen out of sports, but I think there's so much happening in my life that it just kind of isn't as prominent as it was when I was a kid or when I was a teenager. Like I distinctly remember on Friday nights, my mom, dad, and I would just order pizza and just watch my Texas Rangers play baseball, and we just have a good time, like watching TV, enjoying each other's company. And this is I think from like 2005 to 2009. So I mean, iPhones weren't as huge as they are now, so we couldn't really, uh, you know, have intermissions where we just play on our phones or stuff like that. We actually had to, communicate with each other and, do all that kind of thing. We couldn't just message each other from across the couch. We had to actually talk and just watch the thing on the TV. So I always have that kind of memory. Uh, but my family and I love almost every sport that's on. Like maybe basketball, we're a little bit don't really care. My brother loves basketball, but I could care less about it. But my dad loves hockey, and he's from Chicago, Illinois. He was born there, and his one of his favorite teams is the Chicago Blackhawks. And I so I didn't pay too much attention to hockey when I was younger. We have a team in Texas, the Dallas Stars, and we go to a few games there. And I always love going to games. I love hockey is the one sport that I will forever defend. that you need to actually go to a game to experience it. It does a huge disservice on television. You don't feel as invested when you go to a stadium. It's cold. It's you actually hear like the hits. You actually follow along very well. I highly recommend going to a hockey game if you can in your lifetime. It really makes you feel the rush. Like maybe you won't understand the rules. Maybe it'll be like a little fuzzy sometimes, and you'll like question why so many people are exiting the rink, or sometimes you might lose the puck. But I guarantee you, it's a great experience. But one of the things I noticed, I think this was 2012. They do something called the Winter Classic, where they play a game in a baseball stadium, like it's done like the January 1st or 2nd, and they usually douse it in ice, and they make a big deal. Like this is their like all-star game kind of thing. And one year they had the Blackhawks play, and they had a couple special stuff. They had a couple fans in these St. Patrick's Day uniforms. Those were really cool. And then I think for a few years, the Blackhawks would have a game where people were like, "Hey, we're going to give away some special Blackhawks jerseys that are all green, have like a little shamrock on the side," and those were cool. And you see a good amount of fans during St. Patrick's Day and also at this Winter Classic game with those shamrock shirts. And I was like, "That's really cool." I wonder if they're available online. And sure enough, they were. Like one of the cool things on sports websites, you can get custom jerseys made. You don't need to just get, oh, Mr. Johnson over there, like he's number 80. I have to get. He's my favorite player, so therefore I have to get his jersey to show my support. No, you can give instructions to say, I want my last name on this jersey with a number, and that's good. So I found this. This was like, I think they're like 5 in stock when I saw this. They're like 5 in stock. It was a green Blackhawks jersey that you can custom made. So I would put my family's last name on there, and then the number. You can also put the number on there. And I chose number 3 because he has 3 sons. Like I'm the youngest of three sons that he has. So I was like, I think that's a very nice gesture. I think it would go very well. He loves his team. I'm part Irish. I'm 25% Irish. I think it would go over great. I didn't expect this whole backstory. So I give him the gift, and he's blown away. Like first he sees like the jersey in green. He's like, "Oh my God, it's cool." Then he turns around. He sees not only his last name, but the number. The number I told him was for his sons. I had no idea that he used to play hockey in college at Illinois, where he went to school, and his number was 3. He was a defenseman, and his number was 3. And I never knew that. And that just made that gift go from like a 10 to like a 30 right there. Like I was as stunned as he was. And that is just something like he doesn't wear all the time, obviously. Like it's a special gift, something you wear occasionally. But because hockey is a sport that's like 6 months or 8 months, and it's weird to wear a shamrock jersey every game. But I'll always have that memory, and I'll just be always grateful and just amazed that I not only got everything to work, but extra. The fact that I you could put 99 numbers on a jersey, and the fact that it was by complete coincidence. It's like, oh, you have 3 sons. Here's number 3, and then it's like that's his jersey number in college. That's incredible. That's incredible. I think I said to myself, I've said it year after year, and I've always reminded him about it. He's never forgotten about it. He loves that jersey. But I've always said, I'm never going to one up that. Like, I'll always be giving gifts. I'll always want to just get something. Like, I always want to get something special. Like every year, like whether it's my dad or whether it's my brother, like I always try to get one special gift for somebody. and that was him for this year. Like this year, I've got something else. I don't want to disclose this one. I'll talk about it the next podcast. But that was just amazing, and I'm never going to forget it. I'm never going to be able to one up that. It's just so many levels of circumstances that just had the most incredible payoff, and I just love that so much. And my dad told me, I think, like, this year, like, I've always been the best best family member in giving gifts. And I think that I don't pat myself on the back, but I would probably say that. I mean, one year my brother gave every family member like portraits to like kind of like make sure everybody had like a framed picture, because I like those. I want to, like, I have a bookshelf that has like 10 family portraits on there, various stuff, like one with the whole family, one with like friends and family, one with like my grandparents who sadly have passed away. But it's always just nice to have family around, or like I always love that. So that was very nice. But I definitely go out of my I want to go out of my way, because I love my family, and I love my friends, and I want to show that love, and I want to just let them know that I care, and that I want them to like just have something special. This thing's already done over half an hour. I'm not going to speed through this. This is an induction episode, so maybe it'll run long, but I promise it'll try to be like I want to cap it like maybe 45 minutes. But hey, if you like these, maybe I will go over an hour or 2 hours or whoever. But yeah, anyway, I talked about what I gave. Now I want to read a few. I liked a lot of. I got over 90 responses to this, which was amazing. Like, for those who didn't watch the Twitch broadcast, I did promise to give away 3, but because it was so overwhelming, and because we got, I think, 96 people who followed the rules and gave a retweet and a reply and replied within 48 hours, I decided, you know what? It's the season. You take 96, you round up to 100. We're going to give away $100 worth of gift cards. So I bought 2 more $20 gift cards. So we had 5 winners. So 5 chances to win. 5 winners. There's actually a funny backstory. I promise I'll get to the stories, but I want to reiterate this. I actually had a tough time finding these gift cards. Like, I took a picture, the one that's in the tweet, of like, here are the 3 gift cards. I took it on the Monday, and then because my family was in town, like, okay, I'm gonna hide these. But I didn't know where I hid them, and I literally spent 20 minutes scouring my small apartment. Like, I don't live in a big place. I live in like a 900 square foot apartment. I was looking everywhere. I looked in my car, my glove box. I'm like, I can't find this. Where are these? Am I going to have to buy 3 more online and just like go them there? But fortunately, I haven't like texted my mom. It's like, because my mom is a neat freak and loves to like clean my place whenever I get here, despite the fact that this time I actually hired a maid service to help dust my place up. But I'm just like, but then at like 2 minutes after I text her, I look in my pantry and like, oh, there they are. Dang it. Here they are. So then I messaged the people and told them, hey, congratulations. And I'm pretty sure if you replied out there, I messaged you. I tweeted you saying, thanks for playing. I've sent essentially something along your story, but then also saying, thanks for playing. The winners have given their codes. I'll probably do another giveaway in the future. Which, I mean that. I'm not going to do this like every month. I mean, despite the fact I got a lot of followers and I had a lot of fun with this, I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to like just chill out and give. I mean, I like giving, but I don't want to come across as like a sellout or something like that. So I want it to be special. I want it to be a special occasion. So, but be on the lookout. Like, this won't be the last time I do a giveaway like this. That said, let's look at. I liked I think about 20 stories that I liked. Like, there are great stories out there, and they're all fantastic. Some of them just were kind of like a few like 10 words, and that was it. And I like hearing the backstory of stuff. And most of these gave a great backstory, and I loved it. So let's look. So I like to think about, like I said, 19 to 20 of these. So I'm just going to read the name and what they gave, and just probably leave like a compliment at the end. So here we go. This is from X Savage Shannon X. She said, my aunt gave me my grandmother's earrings she got back home in Ireland. They're antiques and very pretty. And that was just, dang, that's amazing. Just to go back and get jewelry like that is awesome. And she said that she wears them a lot, and it reminds her of her grandmother, and that's super special. And that's very sweet. She went out there. Um, this next one from Big Dre 314. I wasn't able to get time off to see my children, so I sent them my check and all their gifts. We video chatted this morning after the year. We've had the smiles. We're priceless. Like I'm trying to. I want to read it how they said it. So that was like, even just like, it's not a physical gift, but seeing your kids. And like, I'm very fortunate to be um have something where I can have like a 9 to 5 job. But there's a lot of people out there who it's tough to see them, like, see their kids all the time. So that's very cool to like say, hey, I saw my kids. It's very nice, and I'm happy that he did. Next one, at Shadow Lerone. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm terrible pronunciation. The year was 2010. I had just gotten home from a trip. I received small but nice presents, but what I really wanted that year was a Wii. I was hooked on the Mario Kart and Smash Brothers ads, and I really wanted in. I come home to find a Wii. It was the start of my journey as a gamer. That's really cool. Like, I started out as a Super Nintendo kid and gradually worked through, but so you always remember your first, and that's really cool to have all that kind of things, like, oh, everybody's buying this and I don't have it on me. And to come home and be like, now I'm going to be one of them. Now I can invite my friends over and actually use my Wiimotes and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'm happy you enjoyed yourself, Shadow. Next one, the Super E got Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games when it was new, in a cereal box, in a shipping box, in an Xbox box, in a TV box. Everyone was laughing. That was probably one of the most like funniest, like, memorable stories that I saw, and I just like, I have to talk about this. That's just like an amazing set of circumstances to, like, everybody gets them like at a GameStop if they're still around. They get them online on Amazon, but to get this in a cereal box, a ton of boxes, to get that's just funny. So that's really cool. Next one, the MV Parrot. He said, the most memorable gift I've ever received was a custom drawn picture of me dressed as a pirate. Very thoughtful gift, and I will cherish it forever. Now, those are really cool. Getting something, I'm so thankful for like artists out there. You guys are amazing, and I could never get on the level that you guys are. So I've had a few people commission stuff for me, but I've also had just artwork made for me, like of my likeness or something, like out of the blue, and it's wonderful. And like, definitely this touched you, Parrot, Dylan, as you call yourself. Uh, Next one, Rafa Gomez 123, one of my friends. Uh, the best gift is the friends we made along the way. Real talk, though, my girlfriend Mar is a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so for Valentine's Day, her birthday, I made a big box and filled that with a few wooden boxes, which had a Water Tribe necklace, bottles with cute messages, and below everything was a huge letter on top of the official Avatar: The Last Airbender art book. She was crying of happiness, and I think I fell in love all over again. That is going above and beyond. That is something that, I wish I could like piece together something as cool as something like that. I'm like I'm very practical. It's like, I buy something, maybe I'll get some like nice wrapping, but going, above and beyond, like hitting all the little like notes and putting the extra detail, that's really special. Sorry, like, I apologize if like some of these, like, I'm trying to like be as like unbiased possible. Some of these people are my friends, like Shadow, Super, Dylan, and Rafa Gomez. So, but I want to like try to be as punctual as I can. So if I hope I'm not saying anything out of turn. Um, Next one, Ginger Brave PP. I got a Switch yesterday. I've been working for it the whole year and did everything to get it. I never had a Nintendo console, so my dream came true. Stuff like this. I think I saw a couple more like this, to where they never had a Nintendo console before, and the Switch made like got them to do it. Now that is something that I'm super thankful for, something like the Switch, because people can look at like the Wii as like their first console, and like some people here do, but I think the Switch is something that's become a lot mainstream. It's something that people are going to look back fondly of and have great memories of, even if, there's a lot of people out there who want to make sure that this is like the best Nintendo console ever. So they talk about it and say, where's the virtual console? Why have you made why is the sequel to Breath of the Wild taking so long? Or where's Super Mario Odyssey 2? And we'd all like to have something like the GameCube where you had 4 Mario parties, 2 Metroid Primes, 2 Pikmin games, something so fast. But I know games take a lot more time these days. So, but to see, so that's my thing. Like something like the Wii, it's great. I still love my Wii, but I know that it's not looked back on in the nicest of lights. So to hear stories like this, especially hearing stories of like this, the first time I got a console, like those are just great stories like that. So thank you, Ginger. Next one, Meg Ryan 15. Coolest gift I got this Christmas is Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars Part 2. Now I can have a Sailor Stars binge-a-thon this week. Best gift ever. And she showed me a picture of the DVD cover, and those are really cool. Like I think I actually saw this on sale on rightstuff.anime.com, and seeing stuff like that is definitely seeing a show you love and get on DVD so you can enjoy it forever is very, very heartwarming. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, Meg. Next one, Brambleberry01 said, my dad is really into music. One of his favorite bands released a new album about 11 years ago. He could never find it. He's been looking for it for so long, and I finally found it. I was so happy that I got it for him. It's even a special edition with a live concert included. Like those are the kinds of things where you go like not just above and beyond, but you like are making sure to like there's got to be something out there. It's kind of like me with my Shamrock jersey. It's like there's got to be something out there. I can do this, and to finally find it. And I asked him who the band was. He said the band was Muse, and it's like I've heard of Muse. Like Muse has one of my favorite songs ever, Uprising. If you ever heard that song, Uprising by Muse is an incredibly good song. Like I highly recommend. Just look on YouTube. It's about 5 minutes long. It's wonderful. But yeah, to have all that just pieced together, fall into place, just wonderful. I'm happy for your dad, Bramble. Next one, Co_Miki said, I don't really have a memorable gift, but I have a memorable moment for this Christmas. My family and I have a dinner at Christmas night. All of us are really busy and we haven't eaten together for a long time, even just for a little while, but it was very memorable for me. And again, this bounces back off one of the other ones, Big Dre, who, that's some like family, very important. And to hear, see a story like that, again, we all have so little time on our hands. Maybe we're all living apart. We have very little time to see each other. Something like that is just so wonderful. So I'm happy you had a good time, Co. And hopefully, with the 2010s coming to an end, hopefully the 2020s, you can have more time to spend with your folks, and it'd be a lot better than just like occasionally. Next one is Mama Bear Jazz. She said, my most memorable gift was an angel wings Christmas ornament to represent my father. That one really hit me like right there. Like unfortunately, my parents are still alive, and I hope they live on for another 40 years. But you definitely want to have, keepsakes. You want to have something to remember them by if that fateful day comes. So to have something like that, and that's got to be like an ornament that's never going to go away. So I'm sorry for your dad's passing, but I'm glad you have something to remember that by, Jazz. Next one, Ek_Carmen. She, I'm sorry if I get genders wrong. Like I don't I don't want to like mess with anybody. Like I don't. Some people don't give it away. Okay, I looked up the female. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I need to get a drink. Hold on a sec. It's a good thing I'm not have voice. It's a good thing I have a face cam. You probably see me sweating. ECH_Carmen. I probably should have just looked at Carmen. It's a female name. That one year, my siblings and I got a PlayStation 1 along with a Mega Man Legends. Imagine playing a single-player game with 5 people. Worked out fine. One save game when game over screen. It's someone else's turn. I mean, that kind of symbolizes a lot of, I think, a lot of my probably gamers' journeys. Is they probably have fond memories of them interacting with their siblings when playing games, and when a fan, especially back in the day when you would your family would be like, "What's gaming? Oh, you only need one console. You don't need to get uh you don't need to have an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo." Whereas now, maybe I'm sure you have a lot of parents out there who still are like, "We got you an Xbox One. Have fun. That was $500 out of my pocket. I don't want to like you have fun, something like that." So, not to be dismissive like that, but there's definitely a lot of parents out there who still probably do that. I think a lot more parents these days have got more acceptive of gaming, understanding it, and realize, oh, my kid likes Mario, but he likes Nathan Drake, so maybe I'll get him a PlayStation and a Switch. And you can find a middle ground somewhere. But definitely back there to have like, hey, you get one game, you get one controller, you get one console. That can just be oof. So hopefully, Carmen, you have a lot more systems now, or you live apart from your siblings, so you have more time to have your own time with games. But that was really nice. Next one, Eto Pin. I think there's like 5 more. Eto Pin. My favorite Xmas present was the Super Nintendo, my first console. That was such a magical day. It was so neatly packed waiting for me. It was the DKC bundle that came with the game and original soundtrack. And again, that's like first gamer memories. Getting your first console has to be like up there with, like that's how I started as a gamer. Like I got my first console was this, and it's just like it changed my life. So I'm very glad. And like Donkey Kong Country is still probably one of my favorite games. Like definitely in my top 20. Like I had that for Super Nintendo. I think I got it on the Wii Virtual Console. It's just a lot of fun. I think actually my brother, I remember I got on the Wii Virtual Console and I saw a save file. And I think my brother played on it for a bit. So I was like, it's amazing. My, at the time, I think college brother came home and I saw a save file of Donkey Kong Country. So that's really cool. Thank you, Edo. Next one, Sutato underscore Pucci. Hopefully, again, not great with names. This one's a little it's 2-parter. The most memorable gift I gave to my sister was a Japanese 3DS, just because of how incredibly difficult it was to make it all work. I wanted to include the Ambassador games, but it was a month after the deadline, so I had to import a new system that had them. Japanese laws back then forbid shipping batteries of any kind, so once I got it, I had to track down a console parts reseller for an original battery. It was such a mess, but worth it in the end to see her happy. Would have been easier if the 3DS was just region free. Yeah, I'm someone who loves Nintendo, but needless to say, I'm glad they finally have a region-free system in the Switch. Wish it was on other systems, like it took you 30 years. But to hearing a story like this, and again, to go above and beyond, like you have to, like some journeys can be as simple as buying a gift card and giving it to somebody, but some journeys like this, where you have a goal in mind to get a present and you have to go through leaps and bounds to get it. That's special. So I'm hoping your sister enjoyed it. Poochie, thank you for sharing your story. I think a few more. Next one, Lario underscore plays. He said, I got my older sister a new 2DS XL for Christmas about 2 years ago, and her reaction was amazing. She couldn't believe it. She was always trying to play my 3DS XL for Animal Crossing New Leaf, so I decided to get her one for herself. That's super sweet, but it also shows that it also shows that, again, another family with one console to share is kind of like, geez, why can't you parents just understand that we all like to game and one console isn't enough? So, but it's good to see something like that. You take initiative. You're like, you know what? I can scrounge up about $200. I can take a break from going to Wendy's or McDonald's and put those extra $5 I would have spent on a Big Mac meal, and over time just get my sister a system and game to herself, and that's really cool. I'm glad she enjoyed it. I bet she's excited, as a lot of people are, for the new Animal Crossing game. Next one is the UI4. Uh, my most memorable gift was my drawing tablet. I was really happy when I got it. That's very nice to see. see something like that, something unique like that. If you have someone who really likes art, you definitely need a drawing tablet on there. I remember conversating saying, "Hey, art like artists like you, I wish I could do what you do." And I wish I could have that like passion and like be able to immerse myself, because I don't think I'm OCD, but I'm definitely someone who gets very distracted easily. Like after like working for like 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I think it's also just I have to do something else. It's probably like the new age with phones and everything, where you're just like, you have to like have your hand be doing something every 15 minutes or you're not accomplishing anything. So, but that's really cool. And, you know, if hopefully someday you take commissions UI4, and I might just ask you for one. Be on the lookout. I think there was a couple more. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Monkey D Irkpo 1 said, back when I was a kid during Christmas time of 2003, it was midnight, so for our tradition, we opened all the presents. I remember as a kid opening my first ever Game Boy Advance SP, a dark blue version with both Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire to go along with it. Happy time. To hear something like that is very cool, not just for the gift itself, but I think the tradition is very unique. As I messaged Eric, is his name. It's we always have the usual, oh, we have to wait for Santa to come down the chimney, and so we go to bed, all that stuff, and then we wake up in the morning. To have this kind of thing where it's like, all right, it's midnight, let's do the presents now. That's a very unique method. And if my parents weren't almost 70, I might convince them to like do that, but they need their bedtime around 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, so I don't. At least my dad does. I think my mom can like stay up to like 10 before she's like, all right, I'm ready to go. But that's a really cool like tradition, so I'm happy to share that. Next one is a bgust underscore Yoshi's. I remember receiving a bag of chocolates in my school from a classmate I barely talk on my birthday. No one knew about it, but strangely he remembered it when I said it on my first day in class. It was long ago, but I still remember and treasure it and cherish it. And that's very wholesome to have. You enter a new school, you don't know what's going to become of it, especially if like maybe that's your first school you went to, like, or maybe it's a transition from elementary to middle school and you're meeting a ton of new people, so you try to make a first impression. And to have that one person like think, oh, you said your birthday was like October 17th, here you go, like, I think as you get older, you maybe like point out that it's your birthday, maybe more to kind of like make sure people don't forget or something like that. Or you hope that like maybe one day you're like in a conversation with friends and you say, "Oh yeah, my birthday is like October 17th," and hopefully they remember it. But I think you just want to like make sure that like, hey, guess who just turned 28 today? This guy, something like approach. So that's really cool to like have a hopefully as a became a friend afterwards, and I like that's really cool. Yoshi's. Let's see. I know I said I had a five more. I have six more. So I apologize. Hopefully you're all enjoying these stories. Next one, Woomy Bread Slice said, I got a PlayStation 3 in 2012 and I was so happy. In fact, Little Big Planet 2 was the first game I played with my brother and we beat it together. It was a really amazing Christmas. That again, another, I mean, I don't want to like just group everybody in a trend, but another family, another story of just like you grow up with a console, it's your first ever one or something like that, or maybe it's one you just like were hoping, anticipating for, and you got it, and then you had a fun time with your siblings. And I think that right there is like the memories of not just the system, but the bonds you have with your family is just so much more nicer and just more wholesome. So thank you for sharing that, Woomy, and thank you again for the compliments uh, about the giveaway. Like, again, like, to see you all not only respond to this, but then a lot of y'all followed. Like, that was not that was not a stipulation of the not a stipulation of the giveaway. But I'm thankful to have you all on board, and I appreciate it. Next one is I think one of the winners. It's that boy Quiz. He said, I gave my amazing girlfriend a necklace with my name on it, and this year I got a new pair of Joy-Cons for my mom and brothers, and my girlfriend is getting me a computer. That's really cool. I really wanted to I really wanted to pinpoint in on the necklace. Like, it's really sweet to get like your significant other or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, or the like, partner, something that just like really means a lot. So that's really sweet of you. And hey, you'd like maybe that story, maybe the random number generator gods looked down and was like, that's really sweet. I'm going to reward that person with the gift. So congratulations. Next one, VG Melodies _ VGM said, purchased a brand new hair dryer for my mother around 2 weeks before Christmas, and her hair dryer ended up finally giving out 2 days prior to Christmas. Happy that it ended up being a fitting gift and timely save. Those kind of stories, like I like you always look on like YouTube videos or like you see clips of something that's like perfect timing of something, and I really like stuff like that, which I wish you always get something and you hope that they enjoy it and they use it and on the like, but sometimes maybe it gets shelved or maybe it doesn't get used as often or it it just is it just sits there and it's probably just maybe it's not maybe not as practical as some other stuff, but something like this where it's like, oh dang, like just like I bought this, like hopefully it goes out, and then like hopefully it didn't like purposefully like short circuit the hair dryer to make it work. But hey, that's really cool like that. Two more stories. Next one is @Kiti_XD. Best gift for me was being able to fly home and spend Christmas with my kids. And that right there is just I love hearing stories like that. Or again, like a couple of the ones I read, you don't have time or you have work or you live far apart. To find time to see your kids or to see your family is super important. The holidays are a time to bring people together, and I appreciate hearing a story like that. And I hope a lot of y'all out there got to see your kids or your family or the whatnot and just have a great time with them, because I think that's the biggest. The gifts are nice, but the family time is the biggest. Is to me is like the biggest part. The final person here was Lum_No Man's Land. He said, Pikmin. Asked for a GameCube with Smash Bros. Melee, and my mom included Pikmin as a surprise. Never heard of it before and decided to play it first, so I will leave the best for last. Hours later is all I played on Christmas Day. Loved it so much. That was really sweet, and I'm sure him and a bunch of other people are just frothing at the mouth for. I assume you're him. Like sometimes I just don't know what genders. I apologize. The You're all probably frothing the mouth for Pikmin 4, which I hope comes like at the next Nintendo Direct. Like they lead off with like Pikmin 4, but also again another gaming memory, which I was surprised like to see it. I like it didn't hit me. Like I was reading through a bunch of replies, like oh, there's a lot of gaming stuff, and then like 5 seconds later, my brain turned. I was like, well, duh, I'm giving away Nintendo cards. Why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't there be gaming stories? So that was just so that just kind of hit me. That was funny, but again, like I would go over more, and I probably spend a lot of time going through a lot of stories. But again, I'm very grateful to have you all come out and share your support and to take part. And I hope the winners out there enjoy your gifts, enjoy that you get. Like I think there's a deal, eShop. What's the word? eShop sale. My gosh, an eShop sale going on right now. Take advantage of it. Well, actually, I think by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be done. But I hope that you all get some good mileage out of your cards. And again, don't worry. This won't be the last time I do a giveaway. I promise. All right. So I'm already 60 plus minutes in. I did not think this would go that long, but I guess that's what happens when you talk a lot. So I'm going to do the last thing, the one thing I wanted to touch on that I thought would take up the longest time, and maybe it will. The Game Awards. So I just want that the video I did in December was a kind of retrospective on the Game Awards when they were on Spike TV. They had that 1 year with the horrendous VGX, and then I very briefly talked about what they are today. Give me a second. But yeah, the Game Awards, the video game awards, they were on Spike TV. It's like I remember having this like idea, and I was talking to my friend about it, and one of the winners, I am Skyden, he actually motivated me to do this, so I appreciate that, Skylar. To like maybe I should just like I bought all these like editing tools, and I've always said to myself I'm going to use them one day. Why not just crack open and just try? Like, and sure enough, like it took a few weeks. I had to get a lot of clips. I had to learn my editing software because I thought it would be a lot simpler than it was, and it's not. and I just had to get everything ready to go. I wanted to get I was hoping to get it done I think the day before the Game Awards. Ended up coming out the day of, I think, like 12 or 24 hours maybe before it. Yeah, I think it was 24 hours before the Game Awards. So I think that was the best case. I was hoping to get out maybe sooner, maybe give more people more time to look at it, but he gets the clock and all that stuff. But it's amazing to not only to find how few clips there were from the first 5-6 years, but just how terrible and just gross they were. And maybe I should have mentioned, or maybe I should have thought about maybe that was where the industry was at the time, because gaming today is a lot more dignified. You have a lot more, just more stories, more, the technology's better, the graphics are better. Maybe it just wasn't as respected as it was in 2003 or 4 or 5. So maybe I should have thought about that. But even then, you see the dozens of celebrities, the people who don't care that they're on stage, the musical performances that don't have anything to do with gaming, and you're baffled how this went on for so long. But then you start to see growth. And especially, sorry, I'll go back in a second. But one thing I didn't put in the thing I should have put, but when I realized something like this, it was taking up a lot of time. I decided, okay, 2007, 2006, there were no clips. The only clip I saw was there's a behind the a red carpet ruling of celebrities. So I was I'm not going to get anything from that. 2007, surprisingly, that and 2005 have the entire show on YouTube. Hopefully, it's still on. Some people can get copyright claimed like that, and then it's gone. But as of right now, and I think I would check it, but when I was recording it, I have the whole thing. I downloaded the whole thing, so even then, I have it, and it's available in its entirety. 2008, the best thing I found was a podcast from giantbomb.com where they talked over it. But in 2007, 2008, the amount of weirdness and grossness was the biggest thing that stuck out was when you usually at an award show, you have the envelopes that have the winners on there. You announce the winners. They decide to be a little bit different, and they wrote the winners on women's bodies. They would show a glamorous model on stage that I guess on the front on their torso, who was almost almost naked. I think they had a scantily clad lady. They would have spray painted the category on their torso, and then you turn them around, and on the back was the winner. And that was just, are you kidding me? Really? Why? Why do we need to do that? In 2008, they had, instead of that, they spray painted models silver, and they put angel wings on them, and they had them descend from above on on some poles, on a imagine a swing, but you descend down and you would hand somebody their award, and then you would rise back up. And that right there just was the biggest face palm I've had in a long time. How could something like this be approved? But again, I was 16 years old during those times. Maybe someone found that attractive and sexy, I guess. But I was just are you kidding me with this? But again, the show would get better, and it was interesting to see, 2009, 2010, 2011 get bigger premieres, bigger announcements out there, get the orchestra established. That was cool. And then VGX happened and basically tanked everything. And then we have the current format, which, is good. Then this 2019 happened, and I want to kind of talk about that for a little bit. So there was that. I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the interesting stuff from the show. So I'm going to start with the good stuff, because this is the same thing I want to talk about with Star Wars. Over time, it will get better, or over time, maybe it'll be shone a different light, or maybe people will actually think back to the other films and how they've tied in, or what have you. But I think right now, everybody's just trigger finger, I have to give my reaction now. It doesn't matter. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. That, and I'm I know. I like taking my time. You know, maybe the internet age doesn't like taking their time. I do, and I always will. So let's go. I'm gonna start with the good. Good. The new Xbox was shown off. I think the name is stupid, which could be in the bad, but I think that it was really cool to see the new Xbox just on display. And who knows? I've been intrigued by what Microsoft has been doing this last generation since the complete failure of a start that was the Xbox One. Like the first couple years were tough, and then it started to like get more traction, and now they were all by themselves pretty much at E3 this year. Sony wasn't there. Nintendo has always been doing their digital events, and Bethesda was terrible, and Ubisoft was meh, and all that stuff. So it was center stage for Xbox. I think they had an all right show. So they're trying to ride a lot of momentum, and I think to show off the Xbox Series X there was smart. The Muppets, they're a fun little gig. I think maybe it went on a little too long, but actually I rewatched it like a couple times, and no, it just the whole show felt long. That's the thing. I'll go about the bad, but the Muppets felt a little long, but the whole show was long. So the Muppets had a fun time, had a fun rapport, had that Untitled Beaker game up there was just adorable, and I would buy that. And that was great to see. Much better than 2018, where they had a Muppet with, I forget what his name is, a Muppet with Ninja. So yeah, that was it. The fact that Sekiro won. I never played Sekiro Shadows Die Twice because I do not own a PlayStation 4. I'm waiting for a PlayStation 5 as long as they come with backwards compatibility, because that's what I want, because I want to buy a PlayStation 5 and then go buy like $200 worth of PlayStation 4 games like Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon and Uncharted trilogy and all that stuff. But I don't want to just go out and buy a $350 box now when I could buy, especially when I have a backlog of stuff right now. So there's that. Sekiro, I'm glad they won. I did not want Death Stranding to win. I think that game got way too ambitious for what it was. I think we'll look back on it, like I said, a few months later, we'll probably look back on it and think of how advanced and how interesting and great it was. But the fact that it came out in late November or like mid-November, no, I'm sorry. It came out either late October or early November, and then got middle of the road reviews, a lot of positive feedback, but you kind of think that it's about to go into dormancy. It's about to become something like Control. Like the game Control came out in, I think, September and was a thing for a week, if that. And then it just disappeared. Like I thought Death Stranding was going to be this. Like this whole thing, I mean, unlike Control, was built on a lot of hype, and I thought that okay, it had its week in the spotlight, now it's just going to die away, or like maybe find itself for $30 in a few months from now. But that was going to be it. But then, of course, it gets 10 nominations, and everybody's talking about it, and it just seemed like because Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are so close, and Hideo's basically been at almost every Game Awards show with the exception of last year, it just kind of felt like corporate overreach in that regard. So I did not. That's why I didn't. That's the biggest reason why I didn't want Death Stranding to win. I was happy Sekiro won. I kind of wished Resident Evil 2 had won. I didn't think Smash Brothers deserved it. I think it came out way too late, and I think that was the thing. If it came out way too late, it wouldn't have a thing. It wouldn't have a chance. So Control, again, it came out it came for a week and then stopped, and then it was like, oh wait, there was a game called Control. I think that's the reaction I got from so many people. So that was that. Was there another game that The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds would have been a nice pick. Like I'm a big fan of Fallout 3 in New Vegas, so I need to play The Outer Worlds. But again, I have a huge backlog, so that'll happen in 2021. But that would have been a nice wild card surprise, especially with it being so much like a Fallout game people want as opposed to Fallout 76. It would have been nice to see that. The next thing, I talked about the performances back in the Spike TV days of like musical performances. Some of them were just like, why? The Churches one they had was really nice. to see I rewatched that, and that was very well done, and I'm great. I think that was really nice. The other two, I'm going to go over four of the most interesting announcements that I saw. I'm just going to say their names. They're all sequels, which is funny. So I think people are very happy. Surgeon Simulator 2. This is nice to see that. Wolf Among Us 2. That's really interesting to see Telltale Games, back after their epic collapse last year. Hellblade 2. Seeing that was just wow. That was like a trip to like see that on display with the Xbox. And that's something that's going to be interesting with Xbox. Like I know the name is stupid, and the console looks like a big PC tower or like a big refrigerator, as we've seen memes of it. But the fact that they have like over 10 studios is going to be interesting. They're secretly, they might secretly be leading something, so that's why they're interesting. Bravely Default 2. I never played the first Bravely Default. I don't know if I will, but that was interesting to see. And then so those are four I want that were good announcements to see. The final two good things were Akumi Nakamura. I hope I didn't, again, terrible names. Akumi Nakamura coming on stage doing her thing she did at one of the few bright spots of Bethesda's showcase at E3 was Akumi Nakamura, and her being her wholesome, wonderful self was delightful. And then finally, the biggest thing, I'm going to take another drink. The final biggest thing was, of course, Reggie Fils-Aimé. Reggie Fils-Aimé being on stage, the former president of Nintendo, giving a wonderful, wonderful speech. And I've always loved Reggie Fils-Aimé. I think that he is, if I ever, I never had any aspirations to be like a marketer. Like I've never liked sales and marketing, but he would be the guy I'd want to learn from. He is so good at it. He's had such a infectious, warming personality, and he's done amazing for his time at Nintendo. And even looking back at like what he did with VH1 and Pizza Hut, his former employers, is just incredible. And it was a wonderful speech to me. And I'm gonna start leaning into the bad about it. Reggie's speech was amazing. I'm not gonna deny that, but it kind of fell long in the tooth because everyone else's speeches were so succinct and short. Like Akumi Nakamura was on stage for I think a minute 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Some of the other people were up there for 90 seconds. Reggie gave a 4.5 minute speech, and that's fine. That's great to have that. But to me, those are more reserved for something that is like, there used to be there wasn't this award this year, but there used to be an award for like a game industry icon. Like the last couple of years, they had people who worked in the Atari age or people who worked in the early Sega age, and that's where you would get a 5 minute long speech because they were big people. And Reggie is a big person, but he was just he was just being a presenter. Like hopefully I'm making sense. Like if he was earning an award and giving a speech and then giving out an award, that makes all the sense in the world. But being as a presenter, it's almost like he was singled out. Like he was, which for good reason. He's probably the biggest name and such a big figure that he deserves it. But I'd be more accepting of that if he was also winning an award, which he wasn't. He was just a presenter. So like I kind of wish there was a little more uniformity in the presenting, if that makes sense. I know it's a weird thing to nitpick on. And again, his speech, I want to watch it like once a week to like motivate myself. It was so good. But I don't know, this is my thing. Let's go to the bad stuff. The Magic the Gathering ads were just obnoxious. I think even someone who enjoyed Magic the Gathering probably got sick of them by like the fourth ad. As was interesting as last year, there was a Magic the Gathering ad, but there was like one. There was one Magic the Gathering ad, and it had like Sir Mix-a-Lot, and it was just kind of a montage of like fun moments. But this one's like, hey, by the way, hey, you know who funded this? Magic the Gathering. You better remember it. And boy, we did. You just annoyed us. The No More Heroes 3 fake out. That's a weird thing maybe to bring up, but I kind of wish that that game, which I think is called Goddamn Superhero, I want to play that game over No More Heroes 3. Like, I still want to get No More Heroes 3 to come out and all the fun stuff, but that trailer of like all the anime inspired animation and the fighting, like, that was such, I don't know, I really hope that like somebody out there just like takes inspiration from that and like sort of like makes an homage to that game, and like even if it's like 5 hours or something like that, I would love to see that. And I wish it wasn't a fake out. I wish it was a real thing. Which kind of segues to my big thing: the lack of Nintendo. Like, I'll talk about, like, I'm a big Nintendo fan. You're gonna hear me say that on so many podcasts or whatever. But I'm not gonna. What was really weird was, well, I think what people saying was like there was no Nintendo. There technically was. There was Nintendo at the show. There were three things. There was, well, four if you count Reggie and then Doug Bowser with the award they won for Smash Brothers. But there were Bravely Default 2, No More Heroes 3, and the blanking on the other. Oh, the Ultimate Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 DLC. But all of those are mostly third-party stuff and don't really gel with what Nintendo had been bringing the last few years. In 2014, they brought the newest Zelda trailer. In 2000 and they brought footage for the Zelda Breath, what would eventually become Zelda Breath of the Wild. 2017, they brought us Bayonetta 3 uh, and a Zelda DLC trailer. 2018, they brought us Joker from Persona 5, and they basically pumped Smash the whole night, and also introduced Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So it didn't. So I could see. I didn't like. I kind of wish there was like one more little thing to kind of jump off of for that. I kind of wish, the last thing, which of course we'll get into, would have been like a Nintendo announcement, like, I don't know, like, not asking for a trailer to Breath of the Wild 2, but maybe a teaser for Mario Odyssey 2, or maybe a teaser for Pikmin 4, or something like that. Just, I don't know. It felt light, especially with just how long it was, which I actually want to get into with the interesting part. The second to last thing, Green Day. Green Day didn't need to be there. Green Day was a waste of time. As someone who enjoys Green Day's music, that was just not fun. Like, it should have been better. Should have been a better music choice. Churches was a nice performance because she has a song in the game, or the artist has a song in the game. Green Day is nothing. They even mentioned like, oh, he's got songs in Beat Saber. Like, okay, that was a song from Beat Saber. Who, like, people really didn't pick up on that until Keeley kind of segued that in the last second. So I didn't like that. The final thing, and the thing that kind of made this almost an insult to me with regards to the show, the Fast and Furious Crossroads game. If you enjoy the Fast and Furious movies, great. But I think even you have to admit that that game looked abysmal. And as someone who doesn't really mind graphics, even I was offended by it. And to me, the reason why it was a microcosm of a terrible finale to it is, one, it brings back the awful memories of the Spike TV show where you had celebrities all around. And yes, there have been occasional celebrities at the Game Awards. You had Zachary Levi in 2017. You had Jonah Hill in 2018. You had Christoph Waltz and another actress promoting Alita Battle Angel. So I'm not saying you can't have celebrities there, but to have it as to have that as your final piece is the thing that people are going to remember this show for. Because for the most part, it wasn't very eventful. There wasn't a lot of like mind-blowing announcements. So you're going to be thinking about what happened at the beginning and what happened at the end. And what happened at the end was awful. I mean, I don't like being negative, but that really insulted my intelligence and made like almost the 3-hour night I spent with my friends watching unworth it. Like, if my friends and I hadn't watched it, and if the Muppets weren't there and Reggie weren't there, I would have given that thing like a flat F. Like, it was so unbelievably bad. This show gets a C from me. And when all said and done, It's a fine show. Like, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but I'm like, just like Fast and Furious. Like, if that was in the middle, like the Christoph Waltz presentation was the first hour of the show in 2018. So you barely remember it. You probably didn't remember until I told you that it happened. That's how it was. Like, maybe, and again, like, I did not, I hated that so much. And, I'm glad Sekiro won, but I was just like, why are you here? Why does Fast and Furious need a game? Anyway, the last thing I want to touch on is some of the interesting stuff that happened post show. Um, there, the biggest interesting thing was seeing Disco Elysium win 4 awards, and I think what's cool about that is that that was the return of Obra Dinn of 2019, in which you have an independent game that didn't get a lot of attention, I think, when it came out, and then get showered with awards. And I'm happy for it. I actually want to play. I saw clips of Disco Elysium, and I'm intrigued by it. I want to go. I wish I knew what the like. Twitter did this thing where if you direct message the Game Awards, you could get one of those games for free, and I didn't understand it at the time. And then by the time I woke up in the morning, I finally understood what was going on. But then everything was sold out. But I kind of wish I could have gotten Disco Elysium for free because I would have played that. I'll probably pay whatever it is, $10 maybe one day. I'll probably play, and that looks really interesting. But that I'm grateful. One, it was interesting to just see that it won the most awards. I think that's just amazing because last year, um, Red Dead Redemption 2 won the most awards, and the year before was Breath of the Wild. So to see this was really cool. The one of the interesting things was to hear the feedback, to watch videos who basically said, yes, it was terrible, but the interesting part of it was to hear reasons that it was terrible that didn't apply to last year, because they would bring up um, the ads about vaping, the 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 categories being on the side for awards, and Google Stadia as like some of the things that they would be upset about. And in my head, my thinking is 2018 had equivalents of those. You just didn't recognize it because the show was better. Like, you remember 2018 because of the Joker reveal, and because of God of War winning, and because of some of the other announcements like Dragon Age 4 being announced. You The reason why this show really failed is nothing stuck with you. Like, the vaping ads were last year. The categories on the side have been a thing for the last few years. And that's one of the complaints I do have about the shows. I wish they wouldn't do those, but I'll go into that another time because I'm already almost 90 minutes in. Woof. And then Stadia, my answer to that is last year they had an ad for the PlayStation 1 Classic, another system that didn't really get off the floor and was deemed like was getting a lot of like publicity for not being a great um, item or service, but it had an ad at the Game Awards, and I'm just surprised I didn't see videos like this last year. And the reason was because the show made up for it. Like, they had a announcement or two that made you want to tune in the following year. This one, I'm gonna watch 2020's award show because I have friends and we all want to have a good time. And I think that it is. I think even though this was a lackluster show, I'd still think it's a great platform to have kind of a second E3, like a winter E3. I still believe that. This was just lackluster. But you know what? Not every show's gonna be perfect. So, but I want to get my thoughts out there and all that good stuff. The other big interesting thing, and I was reading news on this, that the new Half-Life game was going to be something that they were going to announce at the Game Awards. And I think that it should have been. I think that would have been your moment. You had the Xbox announcement. Maybe one of those games I mentioned, like Hellblade 2 or Wolf Among Us 2, could have drummed up a little more um, fervor. And then Half-Life Alex would have been like that persona, big persona reveal like announcement that the next day you go on reaction videos, and that's the big thing you see. But because Half-Life Alex came out a week before and essentially was, spoiled then, or like just maybe it was like poorly timed or something. If that had been like the closer, first off, if Fast and Furious wasn't there, this probably would have been like a C plus or B minus or B in my book. But because it was there, it dragged that grade down so much. But if Half-Life Alyx replaced it, or was another game announcement in there, especially as like the clincher, then I think you would have had maybe a different tone of this show. Like that would have been your big wow moment there. This show didn't have a big wow moment. The big wow moment was the Xbox reveal. And even then it didn't hit a chord with people because Xbox is third place in the rankings of consoles, and is in a projected we'll see about this kind of thing. Like Black Friday and the Christmas, you probably didn't hear many talk of, oh, I got an Xbox for Christmas, even though they were ridiculously cheap. Like everybody who owns an Xbox is enjoying it, and even though Microsoft is trying to sell them, I think that they've already were like, hey, here's Xbox Series X, wait on this one, without really saying wait on this one. Like, hey, we're making the next one, but please still buy, an Xbox SAD or an Xbox One X or this. But this one's like coming up, and I don't know, like it didn't wow. So yeah, that is gonna do it for this first podcast. It's a rather longer than I thought. I'm surprised I talked for over 90 minutes. So to end the show, I want to give a motivational quote for every show. Like I try to think of like what could be something to end every show with. And I thought I am somebody who has like rough patches in life, and I can get depressed here and there. But every now and so whenever I hear stories of people who are down or like having a rough time, I empathize. I don't like just dismiss them. I want to like help them out. I want to help people out there, because this life is tough. Life is not going to be all happiness all the time. You're going to have your tough times, and I want to like I try to like be helpful. I try to be a very neutral person, but I'm also someone who wants to be as helpful as I can. Like maybe I can come across as like pessimistic sometimes, but I always try to just people say look at the glass half full, look at the glass half empty. I can see both sides, and I try to like be like the water on top, if that makes sense. I want to be there to help. So my motivational quote is this: you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. That is from Winnie the Pooh's Christopher Robin, and I think that is a wonderful quote and a great way to end this. So I want to thank everybody for listening. If you listen the whole way through, I want to thank you for following my Twitter. And if you like what you hear here, I would appreciate if you follow my YouTube channel. I'll have another video out next month. My plan is to have a video and a podcast out a month for a while. We'll see how that goes. And you can hear all my thoughts also on my Twitter @JeffreyEngineer. Besides that, I hope you had a wonderful time. Hope you have a fantastic day or evening or wherever you are. Take care.